We went into that house for views. We came out missing one friend, and the footage proved he never left with us. Part 1, the dare that should have stayed online. We went out there for the dumbest reason possible, not money, not history. Not even because we really believed the stories. We went because Noah said the internet was getting boring, and if we wanted our channel to grow, we needed something real. That was how he phrased it too. Something real, like everything we've been posting before that: abandoned malls, empty schools, roadside motels with graffiti and raccoon nests had somehow been fake because nobody screamed, nobody vanished, nobody saw a hand move behind a door. There were 5 of us that night, me, obviously. My name's Ryan Mercer, 22, film student dropout, editor of the channel because I was the only one patient enough to sit through hours of shaky footage and color-correct decaying hallways until they looked cinematic. Then, Noah Briggs, 23, loud enough for 2 people, the kind of guy who'd joke in a funeral home if he thought it would get a laugh. He ran the channel like it was already a business, even though our biggest video had barely cracked 60,000 views. Maya Torres, 21, smarter than all of us put together, pre-law, sharp as broken glass, only there because she said documenting stupid people making bad decisions was basically field research. Jenna Cole, 22, nurse in training, the one who packed first aid kits even for day trips. She had the kind of face people trusted instantly, which helped a lot whenever we got caught somewhere we weren't supposed to be. And Eli Harper, 24, Noah's cousin, quiet, broad-shouldered, permanently tired-looking. Eli never wanted to be on camera. He came along because Noah pushed him into it, same as always. The plan started at a Wawa off Interstate 76 just after sunset. If you've ever been on those highways cutting through Pennsylvania in October, you know the atmosphere already. Cold air. Truck headlights sliding across wet blacktop. Small towns tucked behind tree lines. Gas stations glowing like little islands in the dark. Noah had the map open on his phone and a half-eaten buffalo chicken wrap in his hand. "This," he said, tapping the screen, "is it. Marrow Hill Road. House is here, 10 minutes outside a town called Belmere." "Belmere sounds fake," Maya said. "Everything in Pennsylvania sounds fake," Jenna replied, sorting batteries in her lap. I was driving. Eli sat shotgun, staring out at the pump lights like he was already regretting coming. Noah twisted around in his seat and aimed the little vlog camera at all of us. "All right, it is 8:14 p.m., he said in his YouTube voice, bigger and more confident than his normal one. "We are officially on our way to the most haunted abandoned house in western Pennsylvania." "It's not western Pennsylvania," Maya said. He ignored her. "Locals call it the house on Marrow Hill. Built in the late 1800s. Family disappeared under weird circumstances. Since then, people report lights moving around inside, voices, people getting lost in rooms that don't match the floor plan. According to 3 Reddit posts and one guy named Cemetery Dad 88, I said. That's still called research." Jenna laughed. Eli didn't. Noah turned the camera toward him. "You good?" Eli glanced at the lens, then away. "I just think abandoned houses in the middle of nowhere are where people get shot, not haunted." "That is by far the least marketable thing you've ever said," Noah told him. We left the highway 20 minutes later. The roads narrowed. Then narrowed again. The towns thinned out into long strips of darkness broken by farmhouses, empty diners, and churches with glowing roadside signs that said things like, "Jesus is coming," and "Repent before it's too late." At 9:07 p.m., we stopped at a tiny gas station with one flickering canopy light and a gravel lot that hadn't been repaved since the Clinton administration. Inside, the cashier was an older woman with reading glasses hanging off a chain, and a Steelers sweatshirt 2 sizes too big for her. Noah asked about Marrow Hill the same way he always asked locals about places, casual enough to sound accidental, eager enough to sound suspicious. "You know, that road out past Belmere. Old house up there." The woman didn't answer right away. She looked at Noah, then at me, then past us, through the windows, at the dark. Finally, she said, "You kids filming something?" Noah grinned. "Maybe." She rang up our waters and chips without looking down. That place should have been torn down years ago, she said. Maya leaned one elbow on the counter, because it's dangerous. The woman gave a short shrug, because it keeps drawing people. Noah smiled wider, like that was exactly the answer he wanted. You ever been in it? No. Know anyone who has? That got her to look him straight in the face. Yes. He waited. She slid the receipt across the counter, and the ones who came back didn't agree on what happened. Nobody had a joke for that. Out in the car, Noah called her creepy and said that line was gold for the intro. Eli said, we should leave. Noah laughed like he was kidding. Eli wasn't. I remember that now, because it feels important, the way warnings always do after the fact. Not dramatic warnings, not thunder cracking overhead, not crows exploding from trees. Just a tired guy in the passenger seat saying, plain and quiet, we should leave. And the rest of us not listening. Marrow Hill Road turned out to be less of a road and more of a scar through dead fields. Our headlights caught old fence posts, leaning mailboxes, a rusted tractor half swallowed by weeds. The GPS cut out twice, then froze completely. There was no cell service. Jenna checked hers, then mine, same thing, 0 bars. Awesome, Noah said, that actually makes this better. Only for you, Maya muttered. We saw the house before we reached it. It stood on a rise above the road, set back behind a collapsing iron gate and what used to be a circular driveway. 3 stories, Victorian, steep roof lines, narrow windows, porch sagging on one side. The exterior had once been white, maybe, but now it was the color of old bone under weather stains. No lights inside, no movement, no sign that anyone had been there in years. And still, the second I looked at it, I got the weirdest feeling that the house had already noticed us. That sounds dramatic now, and I hate how dramatic it sounds, but that's the only honest way to put it. Some buildings feel empty. This one didn't, it felt patient. We parked in the weeds beside the driveway. The engine ticked in the cold. Nobody got out right away. Noah broke the silence first. All right, he said, too brightly. This is incredible. It's not incredible, Jenna said, it's depressing. I lifted my camera and zoomed in on the upper windows. Most were black, one reflected our headlights in a way that made it look, for just a second, like something had leaned away. I lowered the camera. You saw that? I asked. Noah was already opening his door. Saw what? I didn't answer. Because I wasn't sure, because it was probably reflection, because once you say I thought I saw somebody in the house, the whole night changes. We geared up on the hood of the car, flashlights, spare batteries, audio recorder, 2 handheld cameras, 1 chest rig for Noah, 1 headlamp for me. Jenna made everyone take a glow stick in case we get separated. Maya snorted. Nothing says confidence like emergency rave supplies. Eli didn't take his. The wind had picked up by then, not strong, just cold enough to snake under our jackets and make the weeds hiss around our legs. Noah hit record. Okay, he said, aiming the lens at the house. There it is, house on Marrow Hill. We are about to go inside and see if this place deserves its reputation, say, alleged reputation, Maya said. No, he turned the camera toward us one by one. Jenna gave a weak smile. Maya rolled her eyes. I lifted 2 fingers off the flashlight in a lazy salute. Eli was looking at the second floor windows again. What? Noah asked. Eli kept staring. I thought I saw someone move. Noah grinned into the camera. Perfect. That was the last normal moment of the night, because once we stepped through that gate, it stopped feeling like a place people had abandoned, it started feeling like somewhere that had been waiting. Part 2. The first hour inside. The front porch groaned under our weight. Not in a horror movie way, not some huge theatrical creak timed for effect, just the soft, damp complaint of old wood giving a little under boots and cold weather. Real enough to make every sound after it feel more personal. The front door was already open an inch. That bothered me more than if it had been locked. No forced damage, no police tape, no broken frame, just a dark seam between the door and the jamb, like someone had closed it gently and never latched it all the way. Noah put one hand on it and looked back at us. Moment of truth. Moment of tetanus, Maya said. He pushed. The door dragged inward across worked flooring with a long scraping sound that seemed to wake the whole house up. Our flashlight beams cut into a wide foyer. Wallpaper peeling in long strips. Curved staircase. Chandelier thick with dust. Sheet-covered furniture slumped like bodies against the walls. And the smell. Not rot. Not exactly. Old wood, wet plaster, mouse droppings, stale fabric, something metallic underneath it all. The smell of a place that had held too much weather and too much silence. Noah stepped in first. I followed with the main camera. There are moments in footage where you can hear somebody breathing harder before they realize they're scared. I noticed it later while editing. The second I crossed that doorway, my breathing changed. Okay, Noah said, voice lowered automatically. This place is insane. It's huge, Jenna whispered. Maya swept her light across the foyer. Why is it cleaner than I expected? She was right. Not clean, exactly, but not as ruined as it should have been. Dust covered most surfaces, yes. Plaster had fallen in places, but parts of the banister still looked polished beneath the dust. The floor runner, though faded, was centered perfectly. A ceramic bowl sat on a side table with dried flowers that looked old enough to crumble from a stair. Elle came in last and looked over his shoulder before pulling the front door mostly shut. Why'd you do that? Jenna asked. So if someone drives by, they don't immediately know there are people in here. That made sense. I still didn't like it. Noah narrated while we moved room to room, and for the first 10 minutes the whole thing felt almost normal again. The kind of normal that comes when people are nervous and compensate by talking too much. The parlor had a baby grand piano with missing keys and framed photographs on the mantel. The dining room had a long table with 6 chairs, all pushed in neatly, each one wearing a layer of dust except one. Maya noticed it first. Why's that one cleaner? We all looked. The chair at the far end of the table had noticeably less dust on the seat. Noah said, animal, maybe. An animal sat in a chair. Maya asked. A raccoon with manners. Nobody laughed much. The kitchen was stranger. Cabinets hung crooked. Sink stained orange from mineral deposits. A rusted sunbeam mixer sat on the counter like someone had used it and walked away. In the pantry, Jenna found canned peaches, evaporated milk, soup labels faded almost white. And on the wall by the back door there was a paper calendar, curled at the edges, still pinned to a nail. October 1987. A photo of a covered bridge on top, dates below with handwriting in blue ink. I zoomed in. Some of the notes were ordinary feed dogs, town meeting, Dr. Ellis, 3 p.m. One date near the end of the month just said, don't answer them if they sound familiar. Noah read it out loud and gave the camera a look. That, he said softly, is exactly what I'm talking about. You realize there's probably a totally sane explanation for that, Maya said. Such as? She stared at the note. Family drama. Someone mentally ill. Kids playing a prank. Your rational explanations are getting worse. They're still better than Ghost House. Upstairs, the temperature dropped sharply. Not movie-style instant frost, just enough that I could see Jenna rub her hands together and Eli zip his jacket higher. The second-floor hallway ran longer than I expected, lined with doors on both sides, all half open except one at the far end. We split up, only a little pairing off, staying in shouting distance. I took the room on the left, nearest the stairs. Noah and Maya moved into what looked like a study. Jenna and Eli checked 2 bedrooms farther down. My room looked like it had belonged to a teenage girl sometime in the 80s. Faded horse posters. A vanity mirror spotted black with age. One shoebox in the closet filled with cassette tapes. I held up one tape, handwritten label, Claire Summer Mix. I remember that because later the name made my stomach drop. At the time it meant nothing. I set it back and turned toward the bed. There was a depression in the mattress, fresh enough to notice, not huge, not dramatic. Just the subtle sink of something that had rested there recently. I called out, "Hey, Ryan," point for subtle environmental storytelling. No answer. Then, faintly, from the hallway, I heard music. Tinny, fragile. A few wrong notes drifting in the dark. A music box. I stepped out and saw Jenna standing in the middle of the hallway, flashlight aimed at a half-open nursery door. "You hear that?" she whispered. Everybody converged. Inside the nursery sat a small painted cradle, a moth-eaten rocking horse, and on a shelf by the window, a music box with a little ballerina inside. Its lid was open. The song had already stopped, nobody touched it. Maya said, "Wind." "All the windows are closed," Eli said. "Old spring mechanism, then." Noah crouched closer with his camera. "You want to say that again with more confidence?" She ignored him. At the far end of the hall was the one door that had stayed closed. The attic door, different from the others, heavier wood. Brass knob, no keyhole. Just a sliding latch on the outside. Locked. "Why would you lock an attic from the hallway side?" Jenna asked. Noah tried the latch. It didn't move. "Maybe to keep kids out," I said. "Or keep something in," he said, and smiled at his own reflection in the lens. Eli looked annoyed. "Can you not?" That was the first real crack between them that night. Noah straightened. "What's your deal?" "My deal is we said we were checking this place out. Not trying to make ourselves freak out for content. And yet here you are. On camera, in the haunted house." "It's not haunted," Eli snapped. "It's old. And weird. And probably dangerous." Maya stepped in before Noah could escalate. "Congrats, both of you, the house is ugly and your personalities are too." We moved back downstairs after that, but the energy had changed. Less joking. Less posturing. On the way down, my flashlight caught the wallpaper in the basement stairwell. At first, I thought it was mold. Then I got closer. No. Writing. Something carved into the faded floral paper over and over, deep enough to expose plaster beneath. Same sentence, repeated dozens of times in uneven, frantic lines. "Don't let them count, you don't let them count, you don't let them count. You." Jenna read it and went pale. "Noah filmed everything," Maya said. "Okay. That's new." "That's actually new, how do you know?" I asked. "Because the cuts aren't old enough. Look at the edges." She was right, the slashes weren't fresh, but fresher than the rest of the house. Years old, maybe, not decades. Eli backed away from the stairwell. "I'm done," he said. "Seriously. We got enough. Let's go." Noah turned toward him like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. "We've been in here 40 minutes. That's enough." "For what?" "For me." I expected another argument. Instead, Noah lifted both hands. "Fine, we do one more sweep, basement included, then we bounce." Jenna stared at him. "Basement included? We're not leaving without checking the basement. You literally just read a wall that says, 'I know what it says.'" Maya looked at me. "You going?" I looked at the stairwell. The darkness down there didn't feel like regular darkness. It felt dense. Occupied. Like the beam of my flashlight was landing on something and not coming back right. Then Noah started down the stairs, and because nobody wanted to be the first one to act scared, we followed him. That was the mistake, not entering the house, not even staying as long as we did. The mistake was going below the point where the warning had been written. Because once we stepped into the basement, the house stopped being a place we were exploring. It became something that had started exploring us. Part 3. The house starts rearranging them. The basement ceiling was lower than it should have been. That was my first thought. Not literally too low, I didn't have to duck, but low enough to put pressure on the room. Exposed beams, stone foundation walls damp with age, a furnace that looked prehistoric. Shelving lined with jars, cloudy from time, and cardboard boxes sagging open with old papers spilling out. The steps creaked behind us as Eli came down last. Noah swung his chest camera left and right. "Okay, basement. No obvious murder shrine yet. Give it 5 minutes, Maya said. Please don't. That was Jenna. Her voice sounded small in the basement. I panned across the shelves. Most of the jars were empty or filled with things too deteriorated to identify. Nails, buttons, fabric scraps. One had a clump of dark hair rubber banded together inside it. Absolutely not, Jenna whispered. Could be horse hair, Maya said. Why is that your comfort option? Near the far wall stood a second staircase leading to what should have been an exterior cellar door. Except the doors at the top had been covered over from the inside with nailed boards and sheet metal. Eli stared at them. Why would you seal an exit like that? Noah gave the same answer he always gave when he didn't know something but wanted to sound in control. Squatters. We heard the first whisper, maybe a minute later. Soft enough that at first I thought it was fabric moving. Jenna stopped walking. Did you say something? Nobody had. We all listened. Nothing. Then Maya's light flickered once. She slapped the casing. Cheap battery. Noah stepped toward a stack of old boxes near the furnace. Guys, there's tapes. He held one up. VHS, no case, white sticker on the spine. MH Night, Test 2. There's more, he said. 5 or 6 total. Alongside them, a spiral notebook swollen from damp. I took the notebook while Noah pocketed the tapes. Inside were pages of names and dates, many crossed out so hard the pen had torn the paper. Not organized, more like someone trying to keep track of something under stress. Near the middle of the notebook, one page had only this written across it. If you start arguing about how many came with you, leave. Do not recount inside. Do not answer when one of them asks who's missing. I read it twice. Maya took it from my hand. Noah, incredibly, said, "This is insane. This is actually great." Eli turned on him. "You still think this is funny?" "I didn't say funny. You think it's content." "It is content." Jenna stepped between them. "Stop. Both of you." From somewhere above us, there was a thud. Not huge, one heavy impact, like a door shutting upstairs. We all froze. Noah tilted his head. Probably settling. Then came another sound. Footsteps. One set, slow, crossing the floor overhead. That broke whatever was left of our confidence. "Okay," Maya said immediately. "Nope. Someone else is here." "Could be an animal," Noah said, but he didn't sound convinced anymore. "Big shoes for a squirrel," Eli said. We moved for the stairs together. Fast, not running yet, but close. At the top, the basement door stood half open. I was sure Noah had left it wider than that. We came up into the kitchen. No one there. No sign of anyone at all, but the house felt different. I know that sounds vague, but if you've ever walked back into a room and known something changed before you could identify what, that's what it was. Then Jenna pointed. The chair. We went back to the dining room. Now 2 chairs were cleaner than the others. Not dusty around them, clean on the seats, like someone had recently sat in both. Noah didn't have a joke. Maya checked the front windows. Could somebody be messing with us? Who? Eli asked. From where? We were all in the basement. Noah said, very softly, maybe not all of us. Nobody answered that. We should have left right then. Instead we made the second mistake. We decided to stay together and do one quick pass to make sure nobody else was inside. That's the kind of decision people make in real life because it feels smart and controlled. It feels safer than fleeing in panic. It feels like taking responsibility. It only works if reality stays consistent while you do it. This house didn't. We went upstairs again. Single file this time. I was in front with the camera. Noah behind me. Jenna and Maya in the middle. Eli in back. I remember that clearly because I kept glancing over my shoulder to make sure nobody lagged behind. Halfway down the second floor hall, Maya stopped. My flashlight. What about it? Jenna asked. I dropped the backup one downstairs. Then, leave it, Eli said. But Maya was already turning back. I'm not leaving a $100 flashlight in this place. I'll go, I said. It's mine. She headed for the stairs before anybody could argue. Jenna called after her, don't go alone. Maya waved without turning around. I'm literally 20 feet away. We waited. 10 seconds. 15. Then we heard her voice from downstairs. Guys? Not screaming, not scared. Just strange. Like she'd forgotten what tone she meant to use. Jenna moved first. Maya? No answer. We rushed down. The foyer was empty. Kitchen empty. Dining room empty. Then, from the far side of the house, near the parlor, Maya called again. Guys? We found her standing in front of the mirror above the mantel, flashlight in hand, staring at her reflection. You okay? I asked. She blinked like she hadn't heard me come in. Yeah, she said. I thought I heard my sister. Jenna frowned. Your sister's in Cleveland. I know. Maya still wasn't looking at us, she was looking at the mirror. I followed her gaze. At first, all I saw were the 5 of us reflected in the parlor flashlights, dusty furniture, white sheet over the sofa. Then Noah said, Ryan. I looked harder. In the mirror, behind Noah's right shoulder, someone stood in the doorway. Tall, thin, half obscured by shadow. Except when I turned, there was no one in the actual doorway. Maya sucked in a breath. Jenna spun around. Eli swore under his breath. Noah raised his camera at the mirror. The figure was gone. Nobody spoke for a full 5 seconds. Then Eli said, We're leaving, now. Noah didn't argue. That was how scared I was getting, too. Noah not arguing terrified me more than the figure. We headed for the foyer. Only when we got there, the front door wouldn't open. Not stuck from swelling. Not jammed, the knob turned. The door moved maybe half an inch and stopped hard. Eli shoved his shoulder into it. It hit something solid on the other side. What the hell? We pushed together. No movement. Maya peered through the crack. There's wood there. What? Boards. The door's boarded. Jenna stared at her. From outside. Maya looked back through the gap, then at us with a face that told me the answer before she said it. No. From inside. Nobody had heard hammering. Nobody had seen anyone pass us. And yet, when Noah crouched and shined his light into the narrow opening, there they were, fresh boards braced across the door frame from the foyer side, exactly where there had been nothing an hour before. That was when the counting started. Not because of ghosts, not because we believed the writing in the stairwell, because panic makes people stupid in very specific ways. Jenna looked around and said, Everybody here? Noah answered immediately. Yeah. 5. Maya said, Count. I did, pointing my flashlight at each of us. Me, Noah, Maya, Jenna, Eli. 5. Eli nodded. 5. And from somewhere upstairs, very clearly, another voice whispered, 6. Jenna screamed. The sound echoed through the house, and after that, everything got worse fast. Part 4, The Missing Hour. I wish I could tell this part in a clean order. I can't. That's not me being dramatic. That's the problem. Even after looking at the footage again and again, there's a stretch of the night where time doesn't line up right. The cameras disagree with the phones. The phones disagree with the audio recorder. And our memories, all 4 of ours, the ones that matched closely enough to compare, have holes in the same places. What I know is this. After Jenna screamed, we ran. Not to the front door. Not anywhere smart, just away from the voice. We ended up in the dining room because it was the nearest room with only one visible entrance. Eli shoved the table sideways against the doorway while Noah and I grabbed chairs and stacked them badly on top of it like we were in some low-budget home invasion movie. Maya kept saying, This isn't possible, this isn't possible. Jenna was crying, quietly, trying not to. Noah checked his chest camera screen with shaking hands. Then he frowned. What? He held the screen toward us. The timestamp on the footage read 12:38 a.m. I checked my phone. Same thing. No, I said. That's wrong. Because the last time I'd looked, before the mirror, before the door, before the whisper, it had been 11:43. I remembered that specifically because I thought we should wrap by midnight and drive back before I got too tired. Maya pulled out her phone. Mine too. Jenna showed hers. 12:38. Eli's watch, analog, had stopped completely. For a second nobody reacted. Then all at once we did. What happened? Did we black out? That's almost an hour. No, 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 no. I scrubbed backward through camera clips with numb fingers. There were files missing. Not corrupted. Not empty. Missing. On Noah's camera there was one clip from the basement, one from the parlor mirror, then jump cut metadata to the dining room barricade. No transition. No footage of us running. No footage of boarding at the door. No footage of the next 55 minutes of our lives. Maya whispered, "Something's messing with the files." Noah said, "Or with us." That shut everyone up again. The room felt smaller by the second. The dining room wallpaper had a faded vine pattern. One corner had water damage spreading like an old bruise across the ceiling. Our flashlights threw nervous shadows over everything. Jenna suddenly pointed at the table. There weren't 6 chairs. We turned. There had been 6 when we first came in, I was almost certain. Now there were 7. One mismatched chair at the far end, narrow-backed, darker wood, older than the others. Dust-free. Noah backed away from it so fast, he hit the sideboard. Nobody touched that. Eli looked like he might throw up. Maya stared at the chair and said, "Okay. We need one stable thing. We need one thing we all agree on." "Great," Noah said, voice cracking, "pick one." She took a breath. "How many people came in with us?" "5, Jenna said immediately. I said it too. 5. Eli hesitated. "Too long." Noah noticed. "Eli." He rubbed a hand over his mouth. "I know it was 5, that's not what I asked." Eli closed his eyes for a second. "For 1 second, just now, I thought it was 6. Silence. Jenna let out a broken little sound. Maya said, very carefully, "Do not say that again." There was knocking from somewhere in the house. Not at the front door, inside. 3 slow taps. Then 3 more. Moving closer. I shined my light at the doorway over the barricade. "Who's there?" I shouted before I could stop myself. Maya turned on me so hard her voice came out sharp as a slap. "Don't ask that." The knocking stopped. Then, from right outside the dining room, a man's voice said, "Ryan." My blood went cold. Because it sounded exactly like my dad, not close, not similar, exactly. Same deep roughness from too many years of cigarettes, same slight drag at the end of my name. "Ryan, open the door." Jenna grabbed my arm, hard. "Don't." Noah whispered, "That's not real." The voice came again, calm, almost annoyed now. "Come on, bud, open the door." I think that was the first moment I truly believed we were dealing with something that didn't follow ordinary rules. Not because a ghost voice called my name. Because whatever it was had chosen a voice that bypassed fear and went straight for instinct. That's smarter than haunting. That's hunting. The voice moved away after a minute, then we heard it again in the foyer, then upstairs. Then from the basement stairwell. It kept changing. Jenna heard her mom, Maya heard her sister. Noah heard Eli calling him from the hall while Eli was standing next to him white-faced and silent. At some point, maybe 10 minutes later, we decided barricading ourselves and wasn't helping. The room had one window, but it had been painted shut long ago and the storm windows outside were nailed in place. So we moved again. Bad choice number 3. We used the dining room side door into a narrow pantry corridor, then circled toward the back mudroom hoping for another exit. That was when Noah found the VHS player. Still plugged into nothing in a den off the kitchen, sitting under an old tube television coated in dust. "Who keeps a VCR in an abandoned house?" he murmured. Maya held up the tapes from the basement. "People who want someone to watch." We argued for maybe 15 seconds about whether stopping to view creepy tapes inside the nightmare house was insane. Then the logic won, if you can call it logic. Whoever left the warning notebook had also left tapes. Maybe there was information. Maybe there was a way out. Maybe we were desperate enough to mistake curiosity for strategy. The TV shouldn't have worked. Neither should the VCR. But when Noah fed in night test 2 and hit play, the screen glowed gray. Static, then image. A basement. This basement. Shot handheld by somebody breathing fast, a male voice, probably late teens or 20s, said, "Okay, if anybody finds this, my name is Trevor Hames, and there were 4 of us when we came in, 4. I need to say that before I forget." The camera panned. 3 other people stood behind him in the basement, looking terrified. Then, in the far corner of the frame, a 5th shape moved. Trevor whipped the camera that way. Nothing there. His breathing got worse. "They make you use their numbers," he said. "That's how they stay. They need a place in your memory before they can take a place in the house." The image jumped with static. Trevor again, closer now, face sweaty, eyes red. If somebody starts feeling familiar and you can't remember from when, do not let the group explain it away. That means it's already started. Another static burst. This time Trevor was alone. Or thought he was. He said, crying now, "I can still hear Josh downstairs, but Josh is right behind me, so one of them is lying, and I don't know which one I came with." The tape snapped to black. Nobody moved. Finally Eli said, "We are getting out of here through a window." The mudroom window looked promising until we reached it and found the glass replaced from the outside with a sheet of plywood bolted in. Every exit we found had changed. Not rotted shut, changed. As if the house had been using the missing hour to rearrange itself around us. At 1:12 a.m., according to the next intact clip, Noah said, "Roll call. Right now." He aimed his camera around. "Ryan. Here. Maya. Here. Jenna. Here. Eli." Pause. No answer. We all turned. The mudroom behind us was empty. And none of us could say for certain when we had last actually seen Eli.
Part 5. The friend they can't agree on. There are things I'm still ashamed of. One of them is how long it took for terror to become argument. When Eli was suddenly gone, the normal response should have been immediate. Search. Panic. Action. Instead, for 3 or 4 horrible seconds, we just stood there looking at the empty mudroom and trying to remember whether he had been with us 1 minute ago, or 5, or 10. That was what the house did best. Not hiding people. Blurring the urgency around them. Jenna was first to break. "Eli," she shouted, voice cracking. No answer. Noah swung his camera back toward the hall. "He was right here." Maya said, "Was he?" We all looked at her. She swallowed hard. "No, listen. I know he was with us. I know that. But I don't know when I last saw him. And that's not normal." Jenna started crying again. "Stop saying things like that and help me find him." We split despite promising we wouldn't. There's no way around that truth. Fear breaks plans. We moved in pairs at first, me with Noah, Maya with Jenna, calling Eli's name room by room. No answer. What we did find were traces that felt staged, almost playful. A fresh footprint in the dust at the end of a hallway. A flashlight leaning against the nursery crib, not one of ours. The attic door hanging open now, latch broken. And from somewhere above us, footsteps pacing slowly in a room none of us had entered. Noah and I took the attic stairs. The space was long, unfinished, and full of old trunks, dress forms, broken lamps, and sheets thrown over furniture. Our beams caught drifting insulation, rafters, hanging cobwebs. At the far end stood a vanity mirror turned toward the wall. Beside it, on the floor, was Eli's glow stick, the one he'd refused to take. Only now it was cracked and glowing dim green. Noah picked it up with 2 fingers. He didn't have this. I didn't answer. Because he was right. I remembered Eli refusing it by the car. I remembered that clearly. So, how had it gotten here? Behind us, the floor creaked. We spun. For one impossible second I thought Eli was standing by the attic stairs. Broad shoulders, dark jacket, same stance. Then my light caught his face. Too still, too blank. Not Eli. It stepped backward out of the beam without sound. Noah made a noise I'd never heard from another human being. Not a shout, not a curse, pure fear, ripped straight out of the chest. We ran. Down the stairs, back into the hall. Maya and Jenna were waiting there, both pale as paper. "There's someone in the basement," Maya said. "No," Noah said instantly. "There's something in the attic." That wasn't what I said. She held up the second camera, the one Jenna had been using. We checked the recent clips. I took it from her. On screen,
grainy basement footage from maybe 2 minutes earlier. A flashlight beam shaking across shelves. Jenna's voice saying, "Eli." Then someone answering from the dark, "Don't come down here with him." The beam swung. For half a frame, a young man stood near the furnace. Early 20s. Slim, dark hair, hollow eyes. Not Eli. Not anyone I knew. The clip ended. Noah whispered, "Who is that?" Maya's face had changed. She looked less scared now than stunned. "I know this sounds insane," she said, "but I think I've seen him all night." Nobody spoke. She pressed on, words tumbling out faster now. Not clearly, just in the edges. "I thought he was with us. Like, I thought maybe he came with Noah and Eli from Columbus. And I just forgot his name." Jenna stared at her. "What? No, listen to me. I know that sounds impossible. But when we were driving, I had this feeling someone in the back seat was talking behind me. There were only 5 of us," I said. Maya looked at me and did something worse than argue. She looked uncertain. "I know," she whispered. "I know." That was the moment I understood the real danger. The house didn't need to kill us. Or chase us, or throw furniture. It only had to make us doubt the edges of our own memory. If it could do that long enough,
then anyone could be absorbed into the confusion ad, or removed. And the rest of us would spend too long debating whether the emergency was real. Jenna sank down against the wallpaper and covered her mouth with both hands. What if Eli already left? What if we're losing our minds over somebody who made it out? Noah snapped. "He didn't leave." "How do you know?" "Because I know my cousin." "Do you?" That hit harder than she meant it to. Noah stared at her like he might hit something. Instead he turned away and slammed a fist into the wall. Plaster cracked. Inside the hole was fabric. Not insulation. Not wood lath. Fabric. Like clothing, stuffed into the wall cavity. He tore at it with shaking hands until Maya pulled him back. "Noah." But I'd seen it too. A shirt sleeve, blue flannel, human-sized folds packed into the space behind the wall. Jenna whispered, "Oh my God." We widened the break carefully this time. Behind the plaster was no body, just clothes, layers of them. Old denim, children's dresses, men's work shirts, jackets, shoes, all crammed into the walls as if the house had been collecting outlines of people. Pinned to one coat with a rusted safety pin was a Polaroid. 5 teenagers on a porch in daylight, posing in front of this same house. On the back, in faded marker, "We all made it out. Didn't we?" Noah dropped the photo like it burned him. Then from downstairs, clear as day, Eli shouted, "Ryan! Basement, now!" I took one step before Maya grabbed me. "No, that's Eli." "No, it sounds like Eli." Noah shouted back anyway, "Eli." From below came the answer, "Hurry. It's got Jenna." All 4 of us looked at Jenna, who was standing right there beside us. Nobody breathed. Then the thing downstairs laughed. Not loud, not monstrous. Just human laughter from a basement that shouldn't have had any people in it. That snapped us into motion better than any plan. We stopped answering voices, we stopped calling names down dark rooms. We started moving like people escaping a fire. Maya's idea was the only one that made any sense. Burn something small, controlled, near the back of the house. Smoke might force whoever was manipulating the exits to react. At minimum it might weaken old wood around a window or door. At maximum it might make the whole structure unstable enough to change the rules. Jenna had a lighter in her med kit. Noah had lens cleaning alcohol. The den curtains were dry as paper. I didn't want to do it, but by then I didn't want any of our options. We set the fire in the den and backed into the kitchen. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then the whole house seemed to exhale. Floorboards popped overhead, a door slammed upstairs so hard the walls shook. The TV in the den flashed to life with static, then a single image, the young man from the basement clip. Standing close to the camera now, smiling. Behind him, reflected faintly in a dark window, were all of us watching the screen. And one more person standing among us. Noah saw it first. "There," he shouted. We all turned. No one there. When we looked back, the screen had gone black. Smoke started curling through the den doorway. Then, from the back mudroom,
We heard glass crack. Maya pointed, "Move." We ran.
Part 6.
The footage that shouldn't exist. The fire didn't spread the way house fires do in movies. It spread wrong. Too fast in some places, not at all in others. Curtains flashed up, wallpaper smoldered in long lines, smoke gathered along the ceiling but seemed to avoid certain hallways like the house was deciding what it wanted to keep. By the time we reached the mudroom, the boarded window had split where the heat hit the frame. Not enough to climb through yet. Noah grabbed an iron umbrella stand and swung. Glass exploded outward along with jagged pieces of old wood. Cold night air hit us like a slap. Jenna went first because she was smallest, then Maya. I shoved the camera bag through and started climbing after them when Noah grabbed my shoulder. "Wait, what?" He was staring back down the hall. Through the haze and moving light, someone stood at the far end near the kitchen. Broad shoulders, dark jacket, Eli. Or something, shaped like Eli. He lifted one hand slowly, not waving exactly. More like reaching. Noah whispered, "That's him." Maya, already outside, shouted, "Noah." The figure took one step forward. Smoke passed through it strangely, curling around the outline. And from somewhere much closer right behind us, maybe inside the wall itself, Eli's actual voice screamed, "Don't take me back." Noah froze. That was the whole trap, right there. Not gore. Not violence. Choice. Make someone choose between the visible body and the real voice. The figure in the hall smiled. Not Eli's smile, too wide, too calm. I hit Noah hard enough to knock him into the window frame. Go. We fell out into the weeds together. The drop wasn't high, maybe 4 feet, but it knocked the air from my lungs. Maya and Jenna dragged Noah clear as smoke poured from the broken window behind us. For a second I thought we'd done it. Then I looked back. In the second-floor nursery window, a child-sized silhouette stood behind the glassless frame. In the attic window, another figure. In the front hall window,
2 adults side by side.
The house looked occupied. Not by movement, by attention, like every empty room had finally filled. We ran for the road, branches clawed at our sleeves, wet grass soaked our shoes. Jenna lost one sneaker and kept going without it. Noah kept trying to turn around, muttering Eli's name until Maya slapped the back of his head and told him to move. By the time we reached the car, my chest hurt so badly I thought I might throw up. The doors were unlocked. Keys still where I'd left them, which should have been comforting. Instead it felt like the house letting us go. I drove. I don't remember most of the trip to Belmere except road lines and Noah breathing like a man having a heart attack in the passenger seat. Jenna kept looking in the back seat. Maya finally made her stop. At a volunteer fire station outside town, we called 911. The sheriff's department came first, then paramedics, then county fire. We told them there had been a fire, that our friend was still inside, that something was wrong in the house. That the doors changed, that the footage would prove. You can imagine how that sounded. We were smoke-covered trespassers in our early 20s, babbling about voices and missing time. They sent teams up there anyway because of the fire. By dawn, the report was simple: partial interior burn damage, no sign of an active blaze by the time crews arrived, unstable structure, no missing person located on site. No body, no Eli. No evidence anyone else had been in the house recently. No explanation. The sheriff took our statements separately. That was when the last cruelty surfaced. He asked how many people had entered the house. Jenna said 5. I said 5. Noah said 5. Maya hesitated long enough for the deputy to notice, then she said 5 too. But when they asked for the names, the room changed. Me, Noah, Maya, Jenna. Eli. It should have been easy. It wasn't. Because for a second, just a split second, each of us was waiting for another name to come first. A name none of us could place, a gap shaped like a person. The footage got reviewed 2 days later. We did it ourselves first at Noah's apartment in Columbus because none of us trusted what memory was doing anymore. There were hours of corrupted files, static bursts, dropped audio, timestamps skipping ahead. But enough remained to build a timeline, enough remained to hurt. On the drive to Marrow Hill, the dash camera showed the inside of my car clearly: front seats, me and Eli. Back seats, Noah, Maya, Jenna, 5 people, no mystery there. No sixth passenger, no half-seen stranger. Just us. Noah cried when he saw that, not loudly, just quietly, like he hated himself for doubting what he knew. Then we watched the entry footage, 5 of us at the gate, 5 on the porch. 5 crossing the foyer. The parlor mirror clip, though, that one was worse on a second viewing, because slowed down, frame by frame, the figure behind Noah didn't appear out of nowhere. It entered the reflection from the dining room. As if it had been walking with us before the mirror revealed it. And the basement clip Jenna caught near the end, that one nearly made me sick. Because the young man in the dark, the one none of us recognized, wasn't just standing there, he was mouthing something. I enhanced the footage as much as I could, zoomed in, stabilized, ran it back again and again. Finally, I saw it. He was smiling into the lens, and saying 4 words. "You forgot me again." Nobody in the room spoke after that. The final file on Noah's chest cam was recorded after we escaped, though none of us remembered him turning it on. The camera pointed crookedly across the dashboard as I drove, mostly road. Dark windshield, our breathing. Then, as the car passed under one stretch of streetlight, the lens caught the rearview mirror. In the reflection, 3 of us were visible in back. Jenna, Maya, and between them, for one single overexposed frame, a young man with dark hair and hollow eyes sat smiling at the road ahead. The next frame, the seat was empty. We took the footage to the police. Nothing came of it. Compression artifact, they said. Stress. Smoke inhalation. Suggestibility. The house on Marrow Hill still stands as far as I know. Partially burned. Fenced off now, more attention than it had before, which probably only feeds whatever lives there. People online ask why we never posted the full video. That part's easy. Because this wasn't one of those stories where surviving teaches you something clean and cinematic. It didn't. It just left damage. Jenna dropped out of nursing school for a year. Maya refuses to discuss the name Claire, even though she wrote it 3 times in her sleep the week after we got back. Noah doesn't film abandoned places anymore. He barely films anything. And me. I still edit for other channels. Weddings, local commercials, real estate walkthroughs, safe work, bright rooms, normal houses. But every so often, when I'm scrubbing through footage late at night, I'll catch it. A person in the background, no one mentioned. A reflection that doesn't match. A head count that feels wrong for half a second before my brain corrects it. And every single time, I hear that voice from the basement tape again. If you start arguing about how many came with you, leave. We entered that house for views. We left with 4 people. And the part that keeps me awake isn't that we lost Eli. It's this. Sometimes, when I force myself to remember that night from the beginning, the car, the gas station, the gate, the porch, I can still feel someone sitting in the back seat behind me. Close enough to speak. Close enough to belong. And for 1 sick second, it feels rude that I still can't remember his name.